This is the Nike and Tom Sachs general purpose shoe, and these are meant to be a casual utility shoe for literally whatever you might be doing during the day. And there's lots of different interesting arts and crafts aspects to these. I think this is why these have gotten so popular. There's lots of Easter eggs on them. Whether or not they actually do anything for you, like the marketing claims, is another story. Starting off in the uppers of these things, the uppers are really interesting. The knotted upper, right? So it's not a woven upper, it's actually knotted. On the microscope, it looks really cool, but if you look at these things actually in terms of breathability, they don't really. And that's because the underside of them is still just backed with just like a continuous backing layer here, like a nylon or polyester backing underneath of it. So all the good aspects of the outside of the shoe kind of are just for show because they really don't breathe at all. Now the tongue does, because the tongue has this Swiss cheese foam in there and it's nice and thick and air does get through there, which is pretty nice. The thing is, the tongue is not gusseted, and for a utility shoe, you would think you would have some gusset to the tongue. It does have a nice little foam ankle collar that seats your foot into there. The thing is, the opening for your ankle, the opening for your feet is so wide that, it does a little bit, but you really gotta crank the laces to really even feel it, right? But honestly, this isn't a running shoe, so really, who cares? You do have some nice, actual like natural materials in these shoes too, which is nice. In terms of the uppers, the things that like really should be working, if you're gonna talk about the knitted upper, right, the knots, like the hook and loop closure here with the uppers, then actually make it do something, don't just make it for show. Now, in terms of the midsole, this is where I was kind of the most disappointed in these things. Now, it doesn't even say Phylon, it says it's just more like, it's just EVA. So I don't even know if it has the components of more of a even injection molded or compression molded Phylon. This might just be just a standard EVA you just get off the shelf. Now, it does have a nice arch in it, and when I first took them out of the box and had them on, as you can see, I have worn these to Kingdom Come. They're a utility shoe, so I wore them for utility. I took them out of the box and the arch felt really good. And I was like, oh man, okay, this might be great. But then I started wearing them a little bit. And as you notice, this arch comes really far back here into the heel. And the problem with that is the tubercles here on your heel bone, the bottom of them, the things like really will give you heel pain or kind of what's involved in plantar fasciitis, they kind of jam up against that thing. And so it's hard EVA. And so your foot just kind of jams into those. And I noticed I had these on. One day I was taking out a bench in our back and I was putting in a rock garden. The other day I had these on is we had a birthday party at my house and I was standing on concrete the whole time and just kind of like hosting. And both days, my heels were just on fire. Like I was getting that really like searing like bursitis pain under here. Now, if you get a softer orthotic in here, one that's a little more of a foamer, it's going to help, the unforgiveness of these things. The problem is that these shoes are meant more for standing, right? Utility, right? And so standing in them, like static stance, is what they are worst for. So walking in them, I think, is much better than just standing in them, but just they're so unforgiving. And yes, it has an arch in it, but the arch needs to be further up. It needs to have something in the back just to give it a little forgiveness. So if you're gonna get them, I would put a foamer orthotic in there, just something really nice and thick in there. They'll fit an orthotic really well. There is a ton of room in them, but you need some sort of more cushioned orthotic in the back. They're stiff enough in and of themselves, but you definitely need cushion in them. Now, the other thing I was pretty disappointed in was the waffle iron outsole. I get it, it's a nod back to the old school Nike. The problem is they were just slippery. Like I was not on slick concrete and I slid out at least 3-4 times in these things, just kind of lost my footing in them. I could just slide on concrete all I wanted. Yeah, they are nubbed and everything, and in like dirt and stuff, they're fine. And if you've got, more textured surfaces, then they're fine. But in terms of it being like a utility shoe, to me, they just need more utility. All right, next up is the Nike Vomero 5. And you can tell why so many people like these so much, and I get so many requests for this shoe. There's so many great features on these. Now, number one, in the uppers, you get a really high gusset, and it's actually gusseted in two places, right here, right, like right in the ankle collar, right where the ankle collar starts, and then here in the midfoot, so the tongue stays in place. It feels nice and secure, feels really enveloping on there. You get a nice amount of padding in there. Plus, the uppers are all meshed, so they breathe exceptionally well even though they have so many foxing elements here. The rear foot's got this external heel counter cage, which I think is so cool. I mean, there isn't an internal heel counter. That's what makes up the heel counter. But I love the caging because it allows them to tie down better. I did some really intuitive stuff in these things. Then in the midsole, yeah, it is Cushlon. It's not Cushlon 3.0. It's a little bit heavier, but Cushlon is still comfortable. Plus you get top-loaded zoom, so it honestly doesn't matter what the foam is, as long as it is sturdy. You just need a sturdy foam around top-loaded zoom air units. Plus, then you've got a shank on the bottom here that creates an arch, and then some more old school features, like more old school biomechanics features, which means you've got a more squared off medial side of the heel for more arch support, then the lateral side is more beveled for easier push off. And that's like kind of more old school type biomechanics stuff, which I don't know, I still kind of like. Also, the waffling of the outsole it's just a much better job because it has gridding on the bottom of it with the way these are set in there. In just the compound of the rubber, it just does grip a little bit better than some other waffle shoes like ones we just saw. And so, yeah, I mean, in terms of comfort, ease of use, really you can use them for anything. I mean, even still light jogging in these, you can do. They're just better out there, but you still can do it. To me, this is kind of in terms of a casual shoe, this is as complete as you're gonna get, except the only bad thing about these is they are still pretty tapered in the forefoot. The good thing is the uppers expand so much, so it's okay. Like I didn't really feel it much, but if you're like someone that's not into, you really don't want the taper, I'd say that's the only thing in these that really I gotta complain about. All right, next up is the Nike Air Max DN8, and as you noticed, I have not cut these ones open. I did provide a very nice X-ray image of these so you can see what's inside. I actually wear these at the holidays all the time because they look like Christmas lights, and I think that's pretty cool at the office, so I like to wear them, so I don't feel like buying a second pair of them, and the X-ray shows them just fine. Plus, I did cut open the Air Max DN. Now, the thing about these is, the Air Max DN, not the DN8, but the DN, is one of the worst shoes I've ever put on. I hate them. I mean, I hated them so bad. I gave them so much time to break in. I wore them for the Olympics actually a few years ago in Paris, and just walking around in them all day, I could not wait to get them off. They were horrible. The Air Max DN8 are the total opposite. I love the DN8. And the weird thing is in the DNs where I had the problems was in the rear foot, which is the same as the DN8, right? The forefoot of the DN8 is the difference in the DN, and I think, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I think that the tuning in the Air Max on the DN8 might be a little bit more forgiving. I just think something about the DN8 in the rear foot, the air is just tuned a little bit differently because it is so much more comfortable. It also might be that because there's Air Max in the forefoot, it rolls easier from step to step, so maybe you're offloading more. I'm not sure, but the DN8s are so comfortable. They're so I mean, just for walking, standing all day, like I stand a lot during the day with my job, just statically. I'm walking around a lot, and so they're for walking or standing, anything casual. These are so good. They're so comfortable. I would not recommend the DNs to anybody. My experience in those was not great, but the DN8, in terms of like put it this way, you know how like coffee smells and then how coffee tastes, it's a little bit different. In the DNs, how they looked and how they felt was kind of like that to me. In the DN8, like this is how coffee should taste based on what it smells, if that makes any sense. That's kind of how these are to me. All right, next up is the Nike Dunk Low, and for the, I think 5 years I've been doing this channel, I've never reviewed a Nike Dunk. I've never actually been a big fan of the Nike Dunks. Wanted to cut them open just to see if there was anything I was missing, and sadly, no. It is a really stiff, low stacked midsole with a cup sole around there. And then honestly, I mean, the uppers aren't, the tongue isn't bad, it's padded enough. The problem with the Dunks is with the cup sole and them being so flat to the ground and kind of just having the geometry that they do, plus how poorly they bend. And I know nobody wants to bend a Dunk, they want to keep it nice, but if you walk normally, you're gonna bend a shoe, you're gonna crease a shoe. But with the way they do crease and the way the midsole is and how, yeah, there is some bend points here in the rubber, and so it is better than it would be without these. they're still just really unforgiving to the forefoot of your feet. They're really unforgiving to the heels. They just don't walk well. They're just not biomechanically a very good shoe. And so, yeah, they're nice and stable. They're flat to the ground, and they do have a very rich history, and we should learn from history and not repeat it. In terms of casual, I think if you're not standing a lot, like if you're more sitting and things like that, you're using them more for that purpose, they're fine. I mean, they're okay. To me, they're just an unforgiving shoe. They break in well because the materials in the uppers break in okay. But that, just the creasing in the forefoot and the way they move. I've seen so many people with forefoot pain in these things, neuromas, bursitis, kind of stress reactions in their feet, heel pain from these things. And yeah, these are one of the more popular shoes just out there in the world. And so a lot of people do fine with them. I would just say in terms of foot pain and casual shoes, these are one of the more common shoes I see causing pain. Now, once again, these would do really well with something that's got some forgiveness, but also maybe a little bit of an arch. So a foamer is gonna be okay in these, but just like a real orthotic with some padding in the heel is probably gonna be a little bit better. So if you do that, they're gonna be better. I would just say in terms of walking a lot, like I said, even though I'm sure people get away with wearing them, in terms of what I see, yeah, cutting them open and just looking at them inside just more reinforced my bias toward them. All right, but by far what my favorite shoe is, at least on this list, is the Nike V5 Runner. Now, number one, they are super inexpensive. I've seen these as low as like 65 bucks on Nike and on some other retailer sites. I mean, they're a simple shoe, right? There's no air in them. It's just a bed of EVA, but you do get good shaping of the shoe. They're really comfortable underfoot. The shank in them goes all the way up to the medial side and the lateral side, so it does offer really good support. As you can see, I have just worn mine down like crazy. I wear these all the time. Like I wear them as a true casual shoe. I just wear them everywhere. Both doing housework is just, kind of if I need to go out somewhere real quick, right? Like I'm just going to the convenience store or something. The tongue on these things is so padded and comfortable. They breathe okay, but they have enough padding in them that it's like really comfortable in the uppers to go along with that breathing. They're easy to walk in. They're easy just to stand in all day. They do have a little bit of a cutout here in the rear foot. So even though this isn't the most plush foam under there, you're getting a little bit of forgiveness. Plus they accept orthotics just fine. You can really put whatever you want in these things. Like really put whatever you want. Even just a more forgiving insole. You don't necessarily even need an orthotic. If you just want, more of like a cushioned insole in these, they're fine. But in terms of the support in these things, the breathability with the mesh on there, the tongue isn't gusseted. That's the only thing I don't like about them. But even with that, they have a tongue loop here, so the laces can go through that, so it does stay in place. And honestly, for the money, for the comfort, like what's not to like about them? Heel pain, arch pain, ball of foot pain. I'd say heel pain as long as you have an orthotic in them, but also because of how the shank kind of holds you up and the the midsole or the midfoot takes a little bit more pressure off the forefoot and the rear foot. They're still on their own, they're not the worst thing on the planet, but if you're looking at these for foot pain, as long as you have an orthotic in these, honestly, it's kind of dealer's choice. The forefoot is actually not as tapered as some other Nikes out there, so you're getting a little bit more room up there too. So like I said, all in all, for the price and for the comfort of them, and if you throw an orthotic in them, you really can use them for just about anything. All right, let me know a bunch of shoes you want to see me review next. And if you want to see the new Nike Air Liquid Max go under the knife, make sure you click into this video right here. And if you want to see the new ACG Zagama go under the knife, make sure you click into this video right here. I'll see you in the next one.